Is the Sony BRAVIA 9 worthy of being in the conversation of best TV of the year? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. I do believe that it belongs in the category with the LG G4, the Samsung S95D, and the Sony A95L, which is carried over from last year. In this video, I want to give you a detailed breakdown of how I feel the picture quality is on the BRAVIA 9, and I'll also detail what I feel is probably the best sound quality that you can get out of a TV today. I'm not really going to talk about specs and what you're getting out of the TV in terms of HDMI ports. By now, it's all well known that HDMI 2.1 is only on 2 ports for the Sony, and that is a very unfortunate thing. So if you do need 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, you're definitely going to have to get it with a HDMI switch, an AVR, or a soundbar. So that is going to be the way to get around that problem. But I do really want to call out that this shouldn't be an issue in 2024. So when it comes down to the rest of the specs, I'm not going to talk about that. And if you need the specs, they are on the Sony website. I really just want to get into picture quality, and we can even dive into sound quality a little bit as well. So let's start with the biggest shock and awe of this TV, and that is the, oh my god, the brightness. Like, this brightness is on another level with TVs. And, you know, I've seen some bright TVs, I really have. But when this TV gets bright, I'm telling you that it almost hurts your eyes. That's how bright it gets. And to really give you an example of how bright this TV gets, I did put it next to the BRAVIA 8, and I have to say the brightness difference was staggering, which is an OLED TV that's not typically able to get too bright. But when you are watching bright content on it, the difference is like night and day if you put the TVs into something like vivid mode. And so I get to this conclusion of like, hey, if you guys use a vivid mode or a standard mode a lot and you really like what that picture mode does for you, or you use something that is just kind of emphasizing brightness, maybe your own custom mode with advanced contrast enhancer on, or just whatever brightness enhancements you want to do to the picture, the Sony BRAVIA 9 is probably the best TV at giving you that. Hands down, no question about it. I'd have it over a G4, I'd have it over an S95D, and an A95L. So there's no doubt about it. Like, I really love the BRAVIA 9 for brightness and impact. And I'm telling you that, you know, even when you watch it in professional mode, kind of the most reference mode you can get out of the box, you will even see HDR highlights stick out there over OLED TVs when you're watching content that really does drive it. And when you're in these high APL scenes, which means high average picture level, you are also going to see more out of the BRAVIA 9 compared to an OLED TV. And trust me, I have compared them, and I have some of the comparisons up on this channel if you are interested. The BRAVIA 8 just cannot get to the same level as the BRAVIA 9. So the 9 actually is better than the 8, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why is because of that impact difference. Sure, you have a contrast difference because it is an OLED, but I do think personally that the impact difference is bigger than the contrast difference. Another comparison I made was to another top-end LCD TV, the QN900D from Samsung, which is a tremendous TV and really does look great on its own. But next to a BRAVIA 9, they traded blows so much where I don't think they should have because of the price difference. But for some reason, the BRAVIA 9 was still just punching above the QN900D a bunch of times. Sure, there was a couple of times where QN900D was the winner with color, but when it comes down to the overall punch, impact, brightness, the BRAVIA 9 was the winner there. I also felt like overall the BRAVIA 9 just does give me enough contrast to be not really missing an OLED TV, which I never thought I would say about a mini LED TV. But here we are. We're discussing contrast being really great on a mini LED TV. Is it going to replace your OLED TV? It depends, because I don't want to say no and I don't want to say yes. really, it depends on how much you're going to pay attention to the contrast level, the deep, detailed contrast that OLED gives you, especially if you're going to try to put them side by side. If you're going to put them side by side, you will notice a difference. Yeah, you will. There's no doubt about it, right? If you don't, it looks really good. It stands on its own. I'll watch this TV and not often do I say, well, I really wish I had an OLED right here. And I watched countless movies and TV shows by now on this TV. I've watched a ton of movies. I even watched all the recent Planet of the Apes movies on the Bravia 9, and what a fantastic experience it was overall. Now, really quickly, I just want to say that I did purchase the Bravia 9 for review, and if you want to help support the channel so that we can get more TVs in for future reviews, you could do so by buying your next tech product on one of my affiliate links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for your support. Now, when it comes to delivering high-end color, this TV does it really well, and it is going to do it better than something like the LG G4. I put it right next to the LG G4, and I watched the LG G4 struggle with its default tone mapping algorithm. And that's one of the things that a lot of people really won't tinker with, so that's what they're going to see. That's what they're going to get. And yes, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. The Bravia 9 was the most colorful TV with those in mind. The S95D does punch above the Bravia 9 with color in mind, but you still do get really great color out of the Bravia 9. So not quite on the level of a QD OLED, but it is going to beat most WOLEDs, even a WOLED with MLA, in regards to color. Now, that's just a really subjective take, and that's what I'm seeing with my own eyes, so take that how you want. You know, I really am looking at these TVs just how you would look at them if you just got them home from the store. So I want to give you guys the best impression that I can give you out of the box in these different modes. So I tried Vivid mode, I tried Standard mode, I tried the Professional mode, and I tried the Cinema mode. These are the ones that I'm evaluating with the Bravia 9 in mind. I also tried out game mode. So let's touch on game mode for a second. You're not really losing a ton going into game mode. The problem with game mode isn't actually game mode, it's more so just the behavior of the backlight from the TV. It can be distracting at times, but it's not something that most people will notice. I personally look for these things when I'm testing out mini LED TVs, and once I've seen it, it's something I can't unsee. But most people may not have a problem with this, especially if they're already coming from a mini LED TV or some sort of LCD backlit TV. So it is a very capable TV, and in fact, it is one of the best game modes that I've had on an LCD TV. It just still is an LCD TV, so it's going to suffer from a lot of the same issues that every other LCD TV has when you're talking about running games on an LCD TV. It's just the way that the backlight performs, always constantly moving the camera, so the backlight's going to have to react on the fly, and it can lead to some problems with flash lighting or lighting trails lagging behind a little bit. It's just little things like that. You'll have lights that just aren't fully lit up depending on the distance between you and the light. So there are things like that that may annoy you if you are coming from an OLED. But again, if you're not coming from an OLED, this is one of the most beautiful LCD TVs you can get for gaming. So overall, the processing of this TV is really good. I like the features that you get. The motion overall seems pretty good. Your low bitrate streaming is always good with Sony. There's no exception here. And overall, just the picture clarity, picture quality overall, the gradation that you're getting out of this TV by default, there's like barely any noticeable color banding at all. And if there is, then you can just use smooth gradation and it works really nicely. I think that this is an incredible processor. The XR processor is definitely one of the best in the business still, and one that is going to be something you should definitely look into if you want really good performance out of your TV. So on the topic of sound, this TV delivers a full room sound like no other TV on the market. It's one of the most complete packages that you can buy when it comes to buying a TV. Really, you're not going to find a TV that's gonna have a capable sound system like the Bravia 9, it's just going to be very hard to find. Most TVs come with a very tinny sound system, something that is very lackluster in the low end. This kind of delivers in most areas. Is it going to replace like a dedicated sound system? No, but for most people, it's probably better than like a $300, $400 soundbar. It is that good with the sound. So definitely give it a shot before you invest in an audio system that really isn't going to make that much of a difference on your setup. You could actually use this as a center channel to the Bravia Quad or any other Sony soundbar, so that's a really nice feature with the Bravia 9 as well. Another thing about sound is the Voice Zoom 3. This is a really awesome feature overall and one that I can really endorse. If you are having any issues with clarity of audio regarding the dialogue, which by the way, you shouldn't have with this TV, the dialogue is incredible, but for some reason, maybe you just like can't hear somebody in a show, you can turn up Voice Zoom 3 and it really is just incredible. I love the technology that they put into Voice Zoom 3. It's going to solve so many problems for so many people. So yeah, Voice Zoom 3 gets 2 thumbs up from me. Another feature they really talked about was the Amazon Prime calibrated mode. Now this is more kind of hit or miss. I haven't seen any results where I was like, I'm glad I'm using this compared to something like professional mode or just like any mode I would use watching movies. For the most part, most of the calibrated modes that I used for the Prime Video looked very similar to the professional mode preset. So I haven't personally seen the appeal of this, to be honest with you, but give it a shot because it may change in the future and it may just be like I wasn't watching the right shows or the right movies for this feature to work properly. So maybe this is something we need to dive into further in a future video. So the question remains, should you buy this TV or an LG G4, an S95D, an A95L? Those are all legitimate questions. The Samsung S95D is going to give you better color overall, but not the same amount of brightness as the Bravia 9. Of course, it is a OLED, so it has superior contrast levels, but again, it's a pick your poison situation. You're not going to be able to get the same HDR impact in the most extreme scenes if you are using something like vivid mode or standard mode, really emphasizing that artificial brightness that you're delivering with your picture mode. You're not going to get that same degree out of the OLED TVs. The LG G4 is very much in line with the S95D, though not as colorful as the S95D. And I have to say that LG G4 definitely is going to give you the best image depth when it comes down to picture quality of all the TVs that I've reviewed this year. Now, the Bravia 9 can give you some good depth as well, just is not on the same level because that detailed contrast is just not there with the Bravia 9. However, on its own, it does look like it has good depth overall, and I do feel like a lot of people would enhance this even further by using reality creation to just make it pop a little bit more. Now, that's just a preference setting. You don't have to use that, but definitely give it a shot on certain content. Overall, I'd say the Bravia 9 gets a thumbs up from me. And again, I really do feel like this is the TV that most people should be buying if their habits include watching in standard mode or vivid mode. Buy this TV over a G4 or an S95D. In my opinion, that is the route that I would go if you're watching in those modes. When I had the G4 next to the Bravia 9 and I had them both in vivid mode, the Bravia 9 just got to a degree of brightness that the G4 dared not enter into when it came down to the overall punch of the image. So I do believe that this is the best vivid mode TV you can buy on the market. You'll definitely hear me repeat that a lot because I do believe that this should be everybody's go-to TV if their mode is vivid. So for reference people, I still say stick to an OLED. For preference people or for people that go with vivid mode or standard mode, I would definitely go with the Bravia 9 over those other premium OLED TVs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know this is a really preference-based discussion, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you guys want to keep watching videos on the Bravia 9, I have a bunch of comparisons that I did with the Bravia 9, so check them out on this channel, and you can see one of those right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.